From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gary Kissel.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield. And it's just me talking to the screen and you guys. That's it. Everybody's on their way. They're traveling. Keith got home. He'll be here any second. And the same with Andrea. She's traveling. So that's what happens when you're a famous NPR journalist. So, but me, I'm a stay-at-home artist. So here I am. Always here. Always reliable. So I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. First of all, hi, Kate. How's it going? Is it Professor Brainy Specs? That's what these are. And there's Keith. There's my partner in crime. And hey, Jacob. Hello. Oh, you're already there. Big Daddy-O John Bamford's here. What's up, brother? And of course, our good friend Socks is here. And normally on our show is T-shirted historian. And he's in the chat tonight because Andrea kind of wanted to just have it as this intimate thing. Let's see. Let me pop up some statements here from everybody. Let's see. There's Kate. Woo, she says. And of course, Professor Brady Speck says, greetings. And then he said, this will be a great show. And Jacob says, hello, PC. I'm in all lowercase because he kind of doesn't really mean it. Let's see. And Brady Speck said, at Publicum, yes, Andrea adds. She adds so much. We love having her as part of our group and our friendship. And but don't think that she, if she's got a hard question to ask, she'll ask it. I told her, whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. And then, of course, Big Daddy-O John Bamford. Hey, man, what did you do now? What did you say to piss off so many people? I woke up angry and I didn't have caffeine. And it was after all the shit went down with Geeks and Gamers. And I got way too angry. I really did. Hello, all. Yes, I'm here. Can't have a show without me. This is true, Socks. We wouldn't be here if you hadn't shown up. Just kidding, buddy. Glad you're here. T-shirt is here. Normally he's in the show with us. And again, Big Daddy-O and Professor Brady Specs. And our good friend and normal you stay-at-home cannoli. That's what I am. Normally Steven is in the show, but like I said, Andrea wants to just kind of talk to us about what happened. As well as we're going to talk about cancel culture in general because there's really not much to talk about what I did. I'm nobody, but I pissed some people off and it happens. I think the only person I think I've never pissed off is this guy next to me, Keith. I annoy him, but I don't think I've ever pissed him off. I can't hear you, Keith. Are you, do you get your mic on?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Sometimes when you say that, it reminds me of that character on The Simpsons. Hi, everybody.
You've been saying that since we started doing this.
I know. Well, when you say it, I can't help it. It pops into my head. Well, the Hispanic needs to garden the chat. Actually, I'm going to make you, every single one of us that is in our little group should be mods on each of our channels. I think it's because you never know. It's always nice to help each other. I shall make fat Steven skinny Steven. Actually, Steven, from what I understand, you're in pretty good shape. I'm the fat guy. I'm the only real fat guy. Kate, hello. Rebecca, hello. TS historian. And see, Big Daddy-O Pop Culture. I have an Uncle Gary. You kind of look like him. I am a big Uncle Gary. I had 7 siblings, and so there are a lot of nieces and nephews. And I told him one time, because he would go Gary, and I go, "Who's this Gary guy?" I know Uncle Gary. I don't know this Gary guy. I said, I worked hard for that uncleship. You call me Uncle Gary. And they do. They all call me that. Even though I cover cancel culture, #irony. Sucks. Keith, DC Comics has found a way to piss off their fan base now. Even more so, they are raising up their prices. Yeah, I saw that today. $6 an issue. They're going in the wrong direction, as usual.
Hey,
hey
Big
Keith,
Daddy. You know what? Again, it's Warner is still in charge of all that, and they really do not care about DC Comics. So anybody out there that is under the delusion that Warner Brothers cares about DC Comics, here you go. They are helping to slowly strangle that business. And they've been doing it, in my opinion, they've been doing it for quite a while. None of these companies really cares about the publishing of comic books anymore. Okay? Disney doesn't. So, there's a lot of hard truths that have been revealed just in the last few years since corporate entertainment has taken over, especially geek culture. Okay. We've had to make a lot of adjustments in how we think and feel and how we entertain ourselves because of corporate culture. Look, 20 years ago, I don't care how bad off everything was. I think personally we were a lot better off before corporate culture really got invested in what we do. Okay, that's just a personal thing with me. I'm not saying that we can. I'm not saying that we can do anything about it. You can't undo what has already been done. It's gonna be a while. So.
That's true. I want to go back to this one thing that Steven said. Warner Brother, DC, AT&T don't care about fans or consumers. I will say this. AT&T cares about the consumers.
Yep.
They're very money oriented, and they're the ones that are pushing DC and Warner Brothers around. They're the ones who are trying to populate Warner Brothers. Is Warner Brother Media? Is that what it is? Keith?
Yeah. There's a hierarchy to everything, with AT&T at the top. And then the next level is Warner Media, okay? And under Warner Media is Warner Brothers Studios and HBO Max and a few other companies. In other words, HBO Max,
including DC,
is right there. Yeah, well, no, DC is on another level down.
Further down.
Even further down. But HBO Max and the people that run it are on the same level as Warner Brothers Studios. So basically, HBO Max pulling this move of having Justice League or Zack Snyder's Justice League is pretty much flipping a middle finger to Warner Brothers Studios because they don't have to do what they say. Warner Brothers cannot like it all they want, but HBO Max and including, I think the only thing that Warner Brothers can do, and they, in my opinion, have been doing some of this, is you'd have a contract issue when it comes to hiring these actors and how you use them. That's the reason why you might have to negotiate for any sequel to Justice League, because this was all done under Warner Brothers Studios. The money that was given, the actors hired, all of it, okay? So if there's to be a sequel to Justice League, HBO Max would probably have to basically do and move everything around so that they will become the ones that take all the risk and provide all the money.
Right.
I just, again, without someone like Script Doctor here or a few of the other people that we know, but based on how everything sits, HBO Max can basically just flip Warner Brothers the bird anytime they want. And Warner Brothers has to deal with it. They just got to deal with it. They can't push HBO Max around, and they're not going to. So, yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I just got a message from Andrea. She's less than 3 minutes away from joining us. So okay. I think Jacob the Critic wanted to say hi to you.
Hi, Jacob. How are you?
And Steven said this, the dick's sense. I love you, Steven.
here's another thing. Something that something that not a lot of other channels.
Hold on one second,
talk about.
Keith. I want you to look at this.
Oh.
What Kate said. Can you read that?
So Batman, if sold as an FU to Zack, could happen maybe. I don't know. I think Ben Affleck and Zack Snyder, those guys are pretty solid with each other. I don't see any animosity between the two. The problem was never really Ben versus Zack. The problem was the same person who's been at the root of a lot of problems as I've identified them on our show.
Yeah.
Which is, and it sounds like I'm picking on him, it's Jeff Johns.
No. We're not picking on him. He has earned every bit of our ire. Oh, you've got a cat behind you.
Oh, man.
The ghost cat.
Hey.
No, it's awesome. But I mean, and this kind of flows right into what Big Daddy was saying here, that he agrees Warner Brothers and AT&T doesn't care about DCCU, which, there's no official name for DC Cinematic. Mm-hmm. It's like it's DC Films, DC Cinematic Universe, but there's no official name for it like it is with Marvel. But the fact is, look, AT&T is a corporation interested in business. But I'm going to tell you this, Keith and I know this. We have heard this through really good grapevine that there are fans of DC Universe that work at AT&T, and they're the ones that are pushing all this shit. It's not just about money. There's a lot of love for DC at AT&T, not the corporation, but people within it. Jacob says, I'm tired. You're tired. See,
I've been on the road for quite a while.
Oh, hey, Real Wade Nation is here. What's up, buddy? Hi, I'm to the point that I'm done after King Kong versus Godzilla and the Bad Batch series. Then I'm to the point I'm going back to old stuff till this. Yeah. Well, look, you guys got to go over and see the video that got put up tonight by Midnight's Edge. It is really good. It's a mix of Rob and Andre and Tom, and they talk about what's really going on. The significance of the Forbes article, because that didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't. That didn't just poof appear. It appeared for a reason, and the day that he published that article, the guy that wrote it, he shut down his Twitter account. So keep watching it. Oh, and Andrea's here. Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
We are well. Keith had to leave because he got a phone call.
Sorry, family business.
Steven says Keith's pussycat on the loose because this cat was roaming around behind him.
Yeah,
that's always good. It's the internet.
Yeah, the adventures of cats. Keith and the ghost cat.
That's your new name.
And of course, T-shirt historian says Real Wade Nation Team Kong, and Jacob says hi, Andrea. And
hi.
Professor Brady Specs, who is a big fan of yours, says hello, Andrea. And now,
hello.
Fuck all you in the chat. It's time for Andrea to take over and do the thing she's here to do.
Right. So you know how this is a really important news story, and a very important thing to me is that I brushed my hair for you guys. I just want to lay out the parameters here. The very important, news gathering parameters in this conversation. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andrea Seabrook. I'm a journalist. I've covered Congress and the White House and lots of cultural stuff, usually a little bit off the beaten path culture, not quite so, but I think that's what this is kind of. I think it's becoming conventional culture, and that's the question. So thank you guys. First of all, let me say thank you so much for talking to me. It's,
we love you,
a rare thing. Oh, you're so sweet. It's a rare thing though, for a journalist to actually get to talk to people who are really in the eye of the storm in a situation like this. And it shows your trust in me. And I appreciate that. And my every intention is to not now and not ever break that trust.
Yeah, of course.
So let me start by asking a couple of quick questions, though.
You're going to ask me
I
something?
think it's not. Yeah. I think it's not clear to everybody what exactly, and I know you can't speak for them, but Geeks and Gamers, what exactly did they do to make Zack Snyder go on to that fundraising stream, right? Just laying out the facts real quick. Zack Snyder went on a fundraising stream that was for a charity. The funds went to a charity that was for suicide prevention. And the very first thing Zack Snyder said was, and I want to get this, I'm paraphrasing here, but I want to get it right. He said something like, "Hi guys, first thing, I don't think of us as being associated anymore with Geeks and Gamers, even though their name is somewhere on our thing. And there's no room for hate." Right?
Well, there were two
he did not
separate
say,
statements.
he
There were
didn't
two
say
separate
specifically,
statements. Yeah.
right. He didn't say specifically Geeks and Gamers is but the implication was there. So what tell you guys, the pop culture
Legally,
like gurus here?
They looked into
Go
it, and Script Doctor looked into it, and so we have to really be careful in our verbiage in that he did not. A judge
Yes.
decided that he did not say they were a hate group, but that's what a lot of people are taking from it. I get it. I woke up. I literally woke up minutes before seeing that, and that's when I posted my remark.
Yeah.
No, hold on. We're not there yet.
We're going to take this a step.
Let's back up. Let's walk through it, okay? Nobody said, and I did not, I saw it live and did not read it as, this guy just called them a hate group.
Yeah, because I didn't get that either at first.
The implication seemed to be that Geeks and Gamers has some reputation, right? So where do you guys, can you tell me, without talking about you guys and what happened with you guys yet,
can talk about,
what
Geeks
is it about Geeks and Gamers?
Well, Geeks and Gamers has one guy in there that is, well, there's two guys in there that are known conservatives. And they also have liberals as part of the group. They have, each one of them has their own little stream on Geeks and Gamers. And some of them are very conservative, some are very liberal. Okay. There's a member of the LGBTQ community in there. So it's a very diverse group. But the minute you have anybody conservative in there, that's what the group gets labeled as, it seems. And that seems to be what's kind of going on.
Okay, well, hold on. Give me an idea of. Okay. That's sort of like analysis, right?
Right.
Tell me what do you guys know of anything that has been said to get, or the kinds of things that have happened that have gotten them that reputation?
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
see any videos about it, but this also occurred right after the incident down in Georgia, which now the FBI has backed up the local sheriff's department on their investigation. And I shared that with you guys in our private chat.
Being
that it was not
a mass shooter went around to several different.
Yeah. But a lot of people
went around to a bunch of different places and murdered some Asian women, mostly. Yeah. I think they were not all Asian and they were not all women, but
there were mostly Asian. There were two white women, and but it was what they've really just kind of broken down. The FBI is that what you're looking at here is a sexually motivated crime, and the race plays very little part in it. I don't know what that means. Okay. No idea what that means.
But tell me about Geeks and Gamers. Let me ask.
I don't know where that got associated with them. And I think that's what people are trying to. Keith, do you know anything about this? Why they got associated with that?
Geeks and Gamers, I think, has a reputation with certain people within more recent pop culture of being people that don't exactly follow the party line. Okay, they have spoken out
the party
against liking certain things the way you are supposed to like it. For instance, the whole Star Wars thing, Kathleen Kennedy and the people that have taken over Lucasfilm have taken that entire franchise in a particular direction that George Lucas doesn't like, that several members of the cast aren't really fans of, and that Geeks and Gamers, a majority of them seem to follow that line of saying, hey, this is not cool, they don't like it, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And there are people online that do not like hearing stuff, and anyone that talks out of turn, they feel should be pushed to the side, pushed out. You know, that's the way that follows. If you don't
So
follow what is,
it seems like that's the best guess, is that Geeks and Gamers has gotten itself a reputation of not being.
I think two of the people involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And by association, the whole brand. So then along comes this fundraiser, and for some reason, Zack Snyder feels he has to disavow any connection with Geeks and Gamers right off the top, and says the word hate in a sentence, and mentions what happened in the massacre in Georgia, and that he himself has children of Asian descent. So we have this conflation of things, right? And I saw right away, I think you guys did too, everybody did, that there was a moment where people who support Geeks and Gamers decided or heard that he had just said something about them in hate. And there was kind of this giant brouhaha immediately on Twitter and YouTube and everything else. So then you get up in the morning. Then what happened, Gary? Yeah, so yeah, Gary, you get up in the morning.
Because I like Jeremy. I don't.
Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers.
Yeah, I like Jeremy, and but I think he gets overly political, whereas we don't. We always because Keith and we discuss politics privately, and we get along great. You know, I don't agree with him; he doesn't agree with me, but we love each other. It doesn't matter. But I don't show who I'm pro for on the show, and I try to avoid that because it's really not why we're here. We discuss social politics, which is different, which is SJWs and cancel culture, which is what I wish some of these shows would focus more on.
I'm going to challenge you on that. But
okay,
go ahead.
Yeah. No.
Not immediately. I want to hear what happened.
So I wake up, and I shouldn't fucking internet when I haven't had coffee. I really shouldn't. I wake up and I read this, and I'm still clouded in the eyes, and I'm suddenly angry, and I brought up something that was discussed in private between Keith, myself, and some of the other members of the group about doing some an episode about nihilism and rearing children in a nihilist home and the dangers of doing.
Let's pause for a second and say nihilism is sort of the philosophical belief that nothing actually matters.
Yeah.
And so I think the bigger, just, you know, in a grand scale, and there is no God, no sort of natural law, none of the sort of underpinnings of philosophy that we think of usually. And so just to get my mind straight here, it sounds like you guys were talking about a story that discussed parenting in a household of different kinds of morality.
Well, that was more his angle. My angle for the whole nihilism thing came out of the fact that given interviews that he had given, Zack Snyder, had seemed to indicate that seemed to be a belief of his. My angle was, you know, I think he would be the perfect person to make a movie about someone who was nihilist that's actually got an involvement with a popular character. In this case, it's Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man. And anyone that has ever seen the documentary about Steve Ditko's life and understands some of the weird things to those of us that seem weird, that when you see it through the prism of nihilism and that belief, a lot of what Steve Ditko did, especially in his later years of his life, makes sense. Many fans don't understand.
I see.
And so
it kind of snaps into place.
Yeah, someone who actually understands that thought, someone who actually has something within that would be the perfect filmmaker to make a movie about that particular person. And Steve Ditko is one of the three mysterious figures that I think if you were to make a film about them, documentary, whatever, you would begin to understand and see how they thought. And he was a very interesting man. he doesn't get enough credit for what he has produced and created. And that was my angle on that. And then everything
it was really a cultural angle. It was really like a
which is what we're doing.
Yeah,
but part of the conversation that night was that raising a child in a nihilist home, just like any religious home or whatever, or non-religious atheist home, because I raised my daughter in an agnostic home. We were practicing Catholics, but I didn't believe in it. And she, of course, is the same as me. She adopted that as her choice. And whereas Keith, of course,
we're looking at that parenting angle.
Yeah, and Keith, of course, raised his kids in his Christian home because he's a very devout Christian. I'm very devoutly Catholic, but oddly agnostic. Weird. I don't understand it. But either way it goes, raising a child in a nihilist home became the subject of a conversation that we all had, and that it had to have had an impact on the kid.
Interestingly, I think Stefan Molyneux, however you pronounce his name, has been talking about this very subject recently on some of his podcasts. He's kind of a public intellectual. He's also abhorred by the left, and has been talking about a lot of these things. So tell me, Gary, what did you say?
I said that. I posted it angrily that I would like to do an expose or plan to do an expose or something like that. I deleted it, but people took a photo of it and they're like, "Sure, are you this guy?" I'm like, "Fuck off." Yeah. But I posted that in anger that I would like to do that in support of G&G, and because there's more to G&G than just Jeremy and the other guy that's conservative, and then like it blew up. You
said something like it was right. It was something like I felt kind of bad about questioning raising a child in an nihilistic home since his daughter had unfortunately committed.
I connected it directly in my statement, and I shouldn't have done that. I spoke so out of turn; it's ridiculous. After I'd caffeined up and went back and went, well, shit, why did I do that? I don't normally do that. I really don't. I don't do that. I did it that time, boy, and I stepped in it. I deserved some the criticism I got. I really did, but I didn't want to delete it because I was.
It sounds like you regret it. I mean,
I immediately regretted when I read it. I'm like, but what I don't regret is how people react and started like doing the labeling with me. You're a pathetic human being.
Well, what happened next? Yeah,
that's what started happening. And I'm a snarky prick, and I just responded to some of them. I said, well, good luck seeing my next post from that high horse you're on. Because people like to sit in judgment of other people. One thing, you say one thing, and they judge your entire existence on that one thing. I don't like people like that. That's part of the cancel culture. I don't care what side of the political line they fall on. Because I got to tell you, the current cancel culture got their book from the Bible Belt in the 80s, going after TV shows. They took that cookbook.
Yeah, we'll get to that, I promise. But just to track this, you made this connection, which is at the very least distasteful, and then you regretted it, but you also at the same time saw a regrettable reaction to that, and then responded with the horse comment, and it created this.
Well, I don't apologize. I never apologize. But I said, I admitted to a few people, I was a dumbass for writing that. Anybody who wrote with an ounce of legitimacy as a decent person, I responded to nicely. Anybody who immediately judged me as unworthy of living, I responded with snark. Because I don't give a crap what they think.
Did Zack Snyder or anybody in DC or anybody from Geeks and Gamers get in touch with you? What can you tell us about that reaction?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. So it seemed to all like mass together into this big Geeks and Gamers versus Zack Snyder controversy. Like you guys got rolled right into that.
Yeah, pretty much. Just for a little bit. It's going to be a residual tiny thing. People, because some of my friends that are, a couple of them are in the audience. They're like, they were worried about me, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I really literally don't give one single fuck what happens from this. I really don't. I made it clear I regretted saying it. I shouldn't have said it. I'm not going to apologize, but I do regret it. And I'm just going to go on. No matter what happens, I'm just going to keep going. It's like cancel culture only works when you care about it.
What was this like for you, Keith?
I think it was a shock for him, but yeah.
Let him describe his reaction.
It was shocking. I don't know. From the very beginning with Zack Snyder and everything that he went through, I've been a big fan of the man. You know, I love the way he makes movies, and I know that what he does is not everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoy what he makes. I love his style. I love his eye, and I love everything that he produces. And I think the way that he's handled himself through all of this stuff is amazing. And a lot of the people that we've worked with, a lot of the other shows like ours, especially the big shows like Geeks and Gamers and all the ones that float Midnight's Edge, those guys are incredible. The way that they put their shows together and their ability to be able to communicate incredible amounts of information in a way that has been so well received by at least those that are fans of theirs. I say every single time I get on here with Gary, I'm someone that never thought that I would ever find myself in the position to have my name read in newspapers, around the world and Britain. And I'm not that guy. I was never really in search of something like that. I'm a fan. I'm a guy who has questions, and I wanted to ask questions and meet people and compare and contrast and talk about my interests. All of this has just been really, it kind of eats a little at you a little bit, but I know that Gary's not an evil man. He's not a bad guy at all.
Well, sometimes
he's a good guy. He's a veteran. He's a dad, a really good dad. And I don't think I would be here with him now if he weren't those things. His humor is very edgy. And he is a guy of the moment. That's the way he thinks. You got to keep up with him. Yeah. So, but I'm not those things. I'm just a guy that knows a lot of weird and unusual information, and so I'm here because of my brains and nothing else. And I don't even think I know that much. And I'm not doing this to search for any sort of compliments. I'm not fishing for compliments. It's just the way I see things. I never thought I would get to this level with a lot of this, and to be around a lot of these people. It's still amazing to me every single time I'm allowed the privilege to come on here with Gary or someone, such as yourself. I'm still kind of amazed. So.
Well, I think it sounds to me like what you're trying to say is that, I kind of want to lay the land a little differently too.
Yeah.
The thing that, first of all, the thing that everyone is doing here, the thing you guys are doing, you can call it Pop Culture Minefield. You can call, somebody's channel, Bird of Prey or Captain Trek. You can call them these things, and they sort of toss them off as sort of pop culture. But this is the way we approach philosophy in our time. This is, through our popular culture is the way we discuss ideas. And there is a really big idea. It's idea about who we are, who we want to be. There's a really big idea here. And it is happening at the same time that our communications are radically different than any other time in human history. And suddenly, something you said when you were 12 or something you said before you had your coffee is is
all
explosive, can be
defining,
explosive.
explosively
Yeah.
defining.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly. And I think one of the big projects that all of these channels, from like mine that has all my tens of subscribers to you guys who are in the thousands and the people who are in the millions, we are negotiating day by day the new norms and culture. I mean, we have to remember we're babies here. And we don't know how to evolve our language so that we don't leave people out without turning into, word police, thought police. We are negotiating this all together. And I think something else that's happening at the same time, and I want to get your thoughts, I'll stop talking in just a second. Something else that's happening at the same time is that our party politics have gotten so toxic that they will latch onto and use anything they can find. We are encouraged constantly to call people members of factions rather than approach them as humans. Rather than say, hey, that
there
wasn't
you go, Andrea. You nailed it on the head there. Instead of approaching each other as individuals and human beings, there's this need to constantly pigeonhole people. And Keith knows, he's heard me. I get after some of my conservative friends about doing that, and I differentiate. There's a difference between a liberal and a leftist. And if you don't recognize that, because they try to lump them all into one thing, and I'm like, stop it. The problem you have is with SGWs, not Democrats. Because
I got to stop you there. I think SJW is as toxic as some of the words that the left uses to lump you guys together. I think you're taking people and defining them by a term you have already defined as bad. I mean, that is just what you're doing, right?
Well, I'm identifying the fact that there's a group of people who do that already, and I'm identifying them. And we're kind of forced to identify that there is this faction out there that likes to break everything nice and go after everybody and attack them. And the problem was, for a long time, these people weren't being identified, and they have hidden in the folds of the Democratic Party. And a lot of my Democrat friends do not like them, and they don't want them to hide behind them. Stop using us. We don't feel that way. Keith's one of those. And I don't think that it's wrong to identify them as really what they're representing, which social justice warrior is what they proudly called themselves too. But
you're still taking a behavior, an action, and turning it into a person's identity, right? Which is exactly what happened to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I don't want to draw bullshit false equivalency, right? That's not what I mean to do. I'm just describing the culture that I don't think any of us is responsible for, really. But the like piranha shark feeding waters that we are operating in at the time that we're trying to negotiate these new important things in human culture. Right. So we're doing something very important. And ultimately, I mean, and now we get into Andrea's opinion, I think we're all being manipulated into having brand loyalty to one side or another for someone else's aims, frankly. And so I find, I police myself for any time that I'm turning a person's action into a member of some group, right? Necessarily. And that's the thing that allows me to say, hey, Gary, why'd you say that? Instead of that Gary, he's a ...
Well, the answer to that is 90% of the time, I'm just a dick. It's a known fact. I'm kind of dickish with my humor. I'm not really snarky. Like Bill Maher's snarky. What I am is a smartass. And I've always been that way. And there, a friend of mine once.
We want it. Yeah, I mean, people.
Well, you
people
enjoy
are
my smartassery. I've seen you laugh at my shit.
Totally. I think it's appropriate that we are discovering new norms of behavior when we're talking about news and ourselves that aren't always NPR or Walter Cronkite. I mean, it's okay.
NPR.
You know, it's just we're still damn it. We're still negotiating this thing.
No,
right?
and I get it. And
yeah.
We're
So
at a phase. We're at a phase, and I want to. I'm going to basically add to what you're saying. Okay, which is that part of the reason why Keith and I do this show together is because we kind of want to prove that the left and right can get along, because we get along even if we don't agree. And I tell people all the time, we don't want to label people, but yet, we're guilty of it too with SJW stuff, the cancel culture. But I do believe that cancel culture is a more accurate way, and cancel culture exists on the left and the right, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
I was attacked by members of both the left and the right in my little fuck up. And, it didn't matter what side they were on. They just, we don't like you. You're a horrible human being. And it's like, okay. I know I'm not a horrible human being. And I know that for a fact, but I am a dick.
I think we all know that, or we wouldn't be here watching this.
Okay, yeah. And Keith, now I want to say something. This isn't me.
Keith is a horrible human being. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, Keith is just God. Fuck. I don't know how his family loves him.
Oh my God, you are biting.
But Keith is. I would not be doing this show at all. We tried it through the Dangerous Nerds Network. I just wasn't into it. I couldn't get into it. But I wanted to direct it. And I was hoping to get Keith to be the one on camera, and I would sit in the background just going, hey, it's time to start talking, kind of stuff. But Keith, he couldn't seem to engage in that. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to make the deal. And I decided that's it. I'm going to get on camera with him. And this show is not about me. This show is all about Keith. If people haven't figured that out yet, it is me making jokes, setting shit up, and then pulling the trigger and letting him go. And he educates people. And I'm only here to be Ed McMahon. He's the Johnny Carson of the show.
All great content is personality driven. You can sit there. I can attest, having a 14-year-old, you can sit there and watch someone else play a video game for a long time if the personalities that are doing it are compelling. And what you guys have done is a really, it's like deep, deep, sort of rooted in human storytelling is what I mean. Like pairing of, sort of voice of reason and knowledge and like Loki, you know what I mean? Like crazy ass, and it's great. It's great.
Well, and this is, because this has always been my stance in writing and in doing our shows to try to be more inclusive than exclusive. I'm really anti-exclusivism.
I don't think Keith has spoken in like 10 minutes also.
I blew too much smoke up his ass and broke him. Because he knows how I feel about him. I love him. I fucking love Keith. I love him so much.
I do talk a lot, but I gotta say, I'm also someone that is, I'm addicted to intelligence. I'm addicted to good conversation, and it's part of the reason why. It's part of the reason why over the years I've enjoyed listening to NPR. I've enjoyed listening to my friends that are able to pontificate on various subject matter. I have met people. I have been fortunate to meet people of all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. And my years of going, to libraries and to state capitals and even the conventions and meeting people and having really deep conversations. And since, I started out wanting to be a filmmaker. And so how I view situations is almost like a director where I can just stand back and see everything. And with you two and listening to what has you two have been talking about for the last few minutes, it's easy for me to just sit back and relax and just listen and, weigh stuff out in my mind. I know that this is not that kind of medium because you need to be able to talk. People don't turn this on to watch me just sit here and just. But sometimes
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at something somebody said in the chat, and I'm trying to cover my mouth. And Mr. Tickle Trunk's being a dick.
It's just a lot of this is still kind of overwhelming for me, even though in getting into this, in preparing to become a part of something like this, and watching people like Kevin Smith and Chris Hardwick and others who have really set the course of how a lot of this began. I'm not them, I think of myself as just a guy that has a lot of really weird, random facts in his head. And I'm not, I was going to say I'm not strange enough.
Now the description I've given of you. He is that guy.
What is it?
He's not going to do it. He's that guy when you walk in and you open his walk-in closet and all that's in there is a giant cork board that is a murder board with yarn, stretching, connecting things. That's Keith. Keith is that guy.
Right.
And
just on this very show, it's like the MCU to Nietzsche.
He makes connections that
or DC.
When we first met, he absolutely blew my mind. And I joke all the time. I joked with him. I said, yeah, I was in need of a black friend. Thanks. But the truth is, I've never met anybody that I understood better and I think understands me better. And I think he understands me probably better than any of my friends. I totally get who he is and why he is. Which I think leads to some of our very quiet frustration with each other because we're very polite with each other about our frustrations. I know I frustrate him, but the fact is, we love each other enough that we just get past that shit, and we make a show that I think's worth watching, especially when he starts talking. When I'm talking,
I was going to say, especially when you talk. Look, what I say has small bits of interesting stuff that is just sort of percolated with a lot of really cool comments that you give, and you make it all just sort of, because I'm that guy that you push to the far corner who's talking about weird stuff that nobody really wants to listen to unless I become some sort of a major celebrity within the next 24 hours and I can actually get my own show. Where it's like weird stuff with Keith, but
kick him with the curve.
and that's the other thing. You kind of have a very defensive thing where, at least growing up in the generation we grew up, it is still kind of off-putting for some people to have a black man who is also a nerd. So it's weird, and so you learn how to mask that. You learn how to cover that up with other things.
Normal for me
because
I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I grew up in the poor side of town, which was the black community. I was like for a while, I was like the only white kid for 3 or 4 blocks. And so I was baptized into this world as a child. And I was so accepted into the black community because my dad didn't have a job. We had no money. I was starving. And Dad was like trying to get welfare. And the lady that lived next door, she said, "Oh, honey, you bring that boy over anytime you want." And I ate 3 square meals a day at my next door neighbor's house for like 3 weeks until my dad got a job and got his first paycheck. And, so one of my closest friends growing up is Vic Armstrong. Vic, if you're watching, I know you're not. I love you anyway. Vic was like that too. So it wasn't a shock to my system meeting a black nerd because I grew up with black nerds. It was just that was what my life was. And so Keith just
but you're both saying something really interesting, which is the things you were supposed to be. You were conscious of what you were supposed to be as whatever station of society you conceived yourself to be in, and actually not fitting in to those. And I think we hear that. I hear it over and over again in all of these groups, that, I was talking about earlier today, like sometimes it's hard to be like a strong woman who's confident in what she's saying, but also girly. Like it's hard to walk that line because you're not supposed to be that. You're supposed to be one or the other.
So
right?
true.
And I think you're both saying the same thing from your stations too. And I think that's what's so important about all of these channels we've been hanging out with. That we're the ones now. And it's why we're the ones who are figuring out the new, what we can and can't do. We get to do that now, instead of it being always represented before us. And it's just as offensive when you do it badly as a cardboard cutout, like change the color of the superhero or whatever, just for that. It's just as offensive to do it that way as it is to have had the rules in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so totally agreed. Because you'll appreciate this, because you and I were talking about our kids earlier. And I have tried to get Zoe, and Keith is all for it too, to come on the show every once in a while. But like me, she wants to be a drummer. I'm a drummer. I played drums my entire life, and I like hiding behind my drum.
Of course you're a drummer. Oh my God, drummers. Ladies, watch out. Oh, you're already married. Good.
Yeah. And but I like hiding behind
the drums too in high school. So
that's not a surprise. Drummers are gravitate towards each other. And I want my daughter on the show because I really want to show how many females are nerds and stop acting like this is just a guy thing. Because I find nothing more offensive than when you hear fanboy. When anywhere between 60, it's only about 65% male. There's at least 35 to 40% that are women in all of nerddom. And
they're not hanging out on the streams I'm watching.
We've got some right now watching us. And I love it.
I know. It's just not 40%. I'm just saying the 40% number. Go ahead.
I will say this: the women that are into this are into it, and they're not shy about it, nor should they be.
Yeah.
I personally would love to see more people, more of a celebration of diversity for the history of nerddom. Whether you're talking someone like, a lot of people seem to be mentioning the name of Octavia Butler a lot, which is great. Love her.
I read her when I was young, and I love her.
And she's responsible for at least my twin brother's addiction to licorice. Samuel R. Delaney.
People know Octavia Butler is an is a Black science fiction woman writer.
Yeah.
Who writes? Who is she? I'm not even sure if she's still alive.
She's not.
Okay, says my best friend across the river.
She should be read more, along with Samuel R. Delaney. Are just two major science fiction authors whom you totally do not see enough of. I personally really liked seeing Lovecraft Country, because it was the first time I've ever seen a project where it's something other than what you would expect, with a cast that a lot of people didn't expect. And I think we can see, I think the table has been set to do more, to have people that look like me participate more, and to find books and other things that comics that can be put out and made big, made writ large by Hollywood. And for whatever reason, for all of the openness that Hollywood has, they keep skipping a lot of these people.
It's really hard to change that culture. I mean, the thing that you're talking about, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. It is very hard. I agree that things need to be different. I agree that superhero films need to change. But there's also a whole lot of history behind a lot of this stuff. People who are being skipped over, left behind,
Totally.
just they don't fit the narrative. And so for whatever reasons, these people just get pushed to the side. You know, and it's unfortunate. It's sad. You know, right now I would like to see a lot of African American actors and actresses gravitate and if they want to make comic book movies, there's a company that's ready to accept what they do, bring them in and start making movies. You know, and that's Milestone. In fact, you know, they are ready to start taking a lot of their material and turning that into movies and television shows. And for whatever reason, there's a lot of people that are avoiding them for whatever reason. So Michael B. Jordan was the last big name who was with them. And he's now kind of joined the J.J. Abrams train of becoming, you know, the new Superman, which is unfortunate because I was kind of hoping he'd be Icon, who was a character from Milestone, which is a division. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just the point. I was just thinking that the same expectations that a young African American boy has that say you can't really be a nerd are the things that stop that kid from writing for the MCU 20 years later. And so the change, I think the real change is what's happening now, and almost everything that is happening in Hollywood, in television, in corporate boardrooms and so on is cosmetics. And and I think and let's not forget, let's have more black conservatives, right? Let's rip apart this idea politically too that that the way you think about issues should be defined that way too, right?
Well,
now, just so you know, the whole reason I did this show was to eventually convert Keith to conservatism. No.
There was a television show from Renaissance Pictures, which is Sam Raimi's company. It was called Mantis, and the pilot is really cool.
It should have been so much. It should have been more
phenomenal. Now I understand nowadays the kind of
is he a praying mantis?
Well,
no,
he's a guy
in his original comic character that he created.
Yeah, it was a
but he's not a praying mantis.
No. But it's basically a mechanized suit, and it's about a black conservative who got hurt, and he invents this mechanized suit because he's in a wheelchair. He invents this mechanized suit that not only allows him to walk, but it gives him powers and all this other stuff, and he can fight crime and do other things.
Here, I'm going to share my screen so you can see what it is.
The
we're talking about.
Pilot was kind of different than the actual show, in so much as that in the original pilot, the main character, the black character, is the one who invented it all. It's his stuff. He was
the Tony Stark of his own show.
Yeah. Well, when Fox greenlit the show, there were a few changes they had to make in the show.
Had a few caveats.
And so when the show hit the air, instead of having the lead character be the one that actually invented the Mantis costume, the Mantis gear, they brought in the white actor played by Roger Rees.
Like the engineer.
Yeah, and he came in and he was the one, and he did all the stuff and blah, 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 blah. And they sort of toned down the intelligence of the lead black character. And it happens a lot. It's part of the reason why I kind of stopped watching Black Lightning on the CW, because they ended up doing the same exact thing. And Black Lightning as a character is, in the comics he invented all his own stuff. He had his own thing. And for some reason, Hollywood couldn't accept having a black lead character unless somebody that wasn't
the viewing audience that made that decision. That was executives.
Yeah. And so
I guarantee they were standing in a boardroom saying, we've got to make this more believable. And so the snake eats its tail. The longer you make it only believable that way, the longer it is only believable that way.
And that the recent attempt in making Fantastic Four that Fox did, I was one of the few people that said, look, I don't mind if you make certain characters different racially as far as Fantastic Four. My only problem is how come it's always the same type of person that you're going to do it to? You know, the angry black man, which is really how they wanted Johnny to be, played by Michael B. Jordan. I'm kind of tired of the trope. Why didn't you just decide to have a black Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four?
Right.
Well, it's because he's the smartest man in Marvel. And nobody would believe that a black man could be the smartest man in all of Marvel.
Right. So, this is the same thing with Ghostbusters 2016, where the one black character isn't a doctor or scientist. She's a street sassy, subway token taker. It's like, come on, don't be insulting.
Yeah, you see, it's little things like that, and it's enough.
And I think
to be very entertaining.
I hear over and over again. When do we get back to story? Like, when do we get to get back to the big ideas rather than this constant signaling? When do we get to stop signal?
Yes. Because that's one thing
they were saying in the beginning.
Diatribes about. We will get so angry because everybody's focused on agenda instead of telling a damn good story. I said, here's the truth.
Yeah.
And this is a basic truth or truism. What do you want to call it? A good war film is in itself an anti-war film. Because if it's honest about what war is, it should fucking horrify you. And not make you want to go sign up in the service.
You would know.
And we're going to actually, just as I mentioned, Andrea, I'm going to start doing a single show, possibly once or twice a month, and it's going to be with just veterans. And we're going to talk about military nerd shit, and it'll be the whole dangerous nerds things, because I really, there's a lot of nerds in the military. I knew so many of them.
That's nice.
Military science fiction is also a portion of science fiction that not many people, if you're not really into science fiction, you've never really heard of hard sci-fi, and there are a lot of books published.
And it's one of my favorite genres is military sci-fi.
It's
the original book.
Starship
I
tried to get NPR when Battlestar Galactica, the new one, the reboot came out. I tried to get them to do because that was talking all about like, what does it mean to be a suicide bomber? What does it mean to be, it was amazing. It was like, and that's what I mean when I say, I covered all the people you want to cover in Washington. They weren't having the substantive discussions that we're having here. This is where the philosophy is. This is where the issues are. And let me try and wrap that. I have to start to jump off. Yeah.
Well, we hit the hour.
Yes, it's not.
You can't get anywhere if you live in an echo chamber. If you're surrounded by people who think exactly the same, you are not going to progress as an individual. You won't. You will stunt your emotional and psychological growth. And I bless the day that Keith and I became best friends. And I'm grateful that you came. I mean, I ended up on a show you were on, and I'm like, I fucking like her. She's cool. Yeah.
She's awesome. I talk about you a lot. But let me at least round off.
Oh, you guys are kind.
Science fiction conventions have been around since at least the 1930s. And they evolved out of actual science conventions. Okay, so debating the merits of whether or not this story or that character or this character, all that stuff is part of the DNA of all of this. So anybody that thinks that
it matters.
It matters because people, if you think about it, the original people that went to science fiction conventions, they originally evolved out of science conventions. And so you had scientists and other people there, business, educators, others who would take a story and debate the merits of the story. How close is the science? Is it exact to what we know? Is this real for that's what science fiction conventions became. And what we now know as science fiction conventions is really a byproduct of the Trek fandom out of the late 60s and into the 70s. Okay? So, but they still did that. There were still debates. There were still people that would talk and discuss. This is what we are kind of missing now. Now it's all about segmenting everyone and making sure that certain people follow certain things, and it's unfortunate because we're
there's a
missing that.
loss in writing with metaphor. I mean, metaphor is so
Allegory.
essentially good writing. Allegory. You should not. And honestly, I don't know how you'll feel about this, but I bet you will agree with me that if you watch High Noon and recognize immediately that this is about the communist witch hunt, then you've missed the greatest point of the story. And
I haven't seen High Noon, but I've read Animal Farm.
What did I say? Which one did I say?
Noon.
Yeah, High Noon. High Noon is very anti McCarthy and McCarthyism. And
I want to see it. Yeah.
It's a very good film.
I just saw a Star Trek episode. I'm trying to catch up with those Trek people, my friends out there, and I just saw a whole
Trek people
Next Generation episode that was basically about a racist. Yeah. Me? Uh-oh.
No.
Okay, the next time you're going to interview me, and I'm going to say I'm going to apologize and retract.
Andrea,
and
your night,
never-ending cycle.
This was your night to put me and Keith under the microscope. I hope you had a good time doing it.
I have so many more questions.
She is going to be posting this on her own channel. I'm going to download it and send it to her because we wanted a simulcast from both, but I didn't know how to do it. I really don't know how. But the fact is,
the only person in America who knows how to do it is LDG Pixels.
Look, I would like to at least say this. I think we should make it a point to have this kind of discussion anyway, once a month or every other month, because there are things that need to be discussed.
We'll call it Coffee with Andrea.
We could call it whatever you want, but we could break it out, break it down, and you know, look.
I'm gonna call it "Fuck Off, Gary."
Don't do that when I'm drinking.
It is
sorry.
It is. There are. The way I really do look at this is that there are a lot of younger people. When I say at my age, when I say younger people, it's pretty much anybody younger than me. And I'm in my 50s. But there are a lot of older books, authors, shows, films that a lot of younger people have never seen for whatever reason. A lot of stuff's passed them by. And I would like to highlight a lot of things, talk about those things and break those things down and get them to understand that it is important to read some of this stuff, that there are people, there are names out there that you should know, like Samuel L. Delaney or Octavia Butler. Dig deeper, find more. There is merit in watching shows like Space 1999 or even both versions of Battlestar Galactica.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. We have kept and what I want to do, I want to get us past being manipulated by both sides to their ends to get them voted in power. And somehow we believe their crap. You know, I mean, I want to talk about the real questions, and that's what's happening here. That's what's happening here, my friends.
Yep. And God damn it, I hate.
Thank you guys. I really have.
We're going to keep talking, guys. But this is Andrea's time to fuck off.
Yeah, you guys keep talking. You don't need me.
Yeah, we're just going to talk for a few minutes longer.
Yeah, you got me back.
I got to tell you something. I have built a band, and you're part of that band. And I want to be just the drummer in the background, and kind of meld.
I'm not the drummer.
I like being a drummer. I like keeping the beat and helping with the rhythm section, and I love doing the group shows with our group. There's a great group dynamic, and you are part of that. And we're grateful that you came into our life.
Show.
You did.
Oh, yeah, because you force us to really be better.
Not to
Knowing
mention the
I
fact
really-
that
and
you and Kate are both gingers, and we all like gingers. It's a fact.
true.
Even though I was a Marianne guy from Gilligan's
Good
Island.
for you. For everybody who thinks it's something to have done the things that I've done, I really honestly believe that the real conversations are actually happening here. And that is the reason, one of the big reasons I left. Almost everything that's coming out in news is more or less scripted within a single frame. And so I don't want to get all like goofball, love fest, but like I'm actually
We do it all the
grateful that
time.
you guys let me come and talk here. So
I am gay for conversation.
so
Yeah, me too. Look. Anytime you want to come on the show, you can replace me. Okay, because you
Thanks,
are
guys.
that smart, Andrea.
No.
I would stop doing this
No, my
show if you were
friend.
gone. The thing I feel is that because Keith's
Okay.
done other shows, and
No,
you got to go
I'm
get
leaving.
out of here, get off our show.
I do.
Good night, Andrea.
Well, I'll be back. Okay.
Of course
Mwah.
you will.
I love you guys.
Love you too. Good night.
Love you too,
Thank
Andrea.
you for letting me talk to you.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So basically, we like doing the show, but the fact is, if Keith weren't around, I don't think I would continue doing it. I don't have I got to have a Keith to keep me focused and keep me on the things I need to be on. Otherwise, I'm just going to be snarking off all the time.
We would be pretty dangerous if we were one person. I'm telling you.
And hey, Squeaker Mouse, I'm glad you showed up. I hope you subscribe.
Yeah.
Trust me, Andrea will be back again, and Kate, who's out there as a moderator tonight, will be on the show regularly too. We want to be a voice for pretty much everybody. We're not going to be goofy diverse where it's all fake and forced. We're actually diverse. All of us have different personal views, political views, social views, religious views, and we all come from different races and sexes, and that's the way it should be. And I like that. Let's see. T-shirt says we really do like gingers. It's true. I love a woman who gives good. Shut up, Mr. Tickle Trunk. I'm not saying that. Gives good brain. Fuck off. Big Daddy-O says Pop Culture Minefield. Watch as the viewers drop out. All of a sudden, as Andrea leaves. Yeah, we're down to 13 watching right now.
Yeah. I look. I know how I rank. So
yeah, they came for her.
Yeah.
Good night, Andrea. And even Hispanics. Yes, Latinos. Look, man, if you are not being inclusive to every belief, every existence, then you're denying being really diverse. And the fact is, personally, I think Keith and I are very diverse in how we approach people. We don't give a shit who or what they are. I don't care what they believe. I really don't. All I want is a good conversation about interesting things. And that's really what was part of the conversation with Keith and Andrea earlier when we were in chat, is that we like intelligent conversation. I think that's what you were saying too, right, Keith?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
look, there is like right now a lot of stuff gets pushed because of corporate entertainment. Okay.
Right.
And if we were being totally honest, if you really wanted to try something different that would check a lot of boxes, but be incredibly different, something that you probably have never seen before, I have an idea for you. HBO Max, you could do this. Anybody could do this if they wanted to get the rights. Do an Honor Harrington movie. That would be different.
I agree with you. And as Big Daddy-O, I'm Murtagh. He's Riggs. Because Mikey Sutton calls us Lethal Weapon.
For those of you who don't know, Honor Harrington is a character that If you're not reading those books, you should be. It'll change how you look at things. Take a character like Captain Janeway. She's got nothing on Honor Harrington. Seriously. If you liked the Ronald D. Moore, David Icke version of Battlestar Galactica, the remake, mix that with a little bit of Star Wars, a whole lot of Babylon 5, and a character that's kind of like a cross of Susan Ivanova, a little bit of Janeway, and a whole lot of just some of the ballsiest captains you've ever met that just happen to be males. But that is the Honor Harrington series of books. You should go straight to Amazon. And David Weber, awesome dude. Got a chance to meet him a couple years ago. Well, a couple years ago, a long time ago. I got to keep reminding myself how long ago that actually was. But these books, it is, in my opinion, one of the greatest crimes out there that this has not been turned into either a television series or a series of movies. Do yourself a favor. Get in on the ground floor, start watching this, and you will believe.
This is a new series, right? That's coming out, a TV series? Didn't I read something about that?
Well, somebody was trying to do something years ago, but nobody's done anything. I mean, there's been no major announcements. I think I think that character would help turn a lot of things around. The same way I believe that if a lot of the big stars out in Hollywood, especially those actors and actresses of color, if you really want to make a difference, go right to the guys making, Milestone and just sign up to be in a Milestone television series or a movie. That would do something immediately. Because it's now been a few years since Black Panther. And, everybody's trying to find their own Black Panther. And people like me are sitting here watching Warner Brothers spin their wheels trying to come up with something. And I'm like, you own something. You have an attachment
Tickle Trunk
to
just
something.
brought up Babylon 5.
Oh, of course, Babylon 5. Babylon 5 really shows that Warner Brothers, those guys are probably on drugs. I don't know how to explain it. They're crazy. They really don't know what they have. And those of you who have been introduced recently to Babylon 5, who are starting from the beginning and are watching every episode, here's a question. What do you think about what you've seen up to this point? And another question is, have you started reading the books? I know that initially you're going to find books that are
You're getting
like
questions down below, Keith. Look at your screen.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. I love the artwork on the covers. Does it come in audio? I'm very lazy when it comes to reading. Da, da, da. You know what? I don't know if there are any audio for Babylon 5. I will tell you that. If they are, they're probably being read by some of the
I think he's actually talking about Honor.
Honor Harrington? That I don't know. I can't.
Well, let me look it up real quick. Honor books, and I'll
David Weber's Honor Harrington. If you really want something different, if you're someone who's given up on Star Wars or you miss shows like Battlestar Galactica, Honor Harrington is what you should be reading. So
I'm looking right now to see if I don't see any audiobooks, which is odd. Oh, no, I see it right now. Here we go. Some of them are in audiobooks. So you can actually get them in audiobooks. There you go. Next question. They're trying to sell the narrative.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That people are more upset about the LGBTQ Captain America than the Hydra turncoat Captain America that everyone lost their. Yeah, look, my whole thing is it's not so much about having new Captain Americas and what their sexual orientation are. My thing is you're going to take on the mantle of Captain America. Fine. Well, guess what? There's a lot that comes with that. Okay. It's kind of like I remember when we had talked about this in one of our previous shows, I had brought up the whole storyline of Batman Incorporated. And by having Batman go to different countries, different areas, and find people who he could designate to be the Batman of that country or area, he was going out and finding people who could physically take care of themselves and had the smarts to be able to properly equip themselves to handle the job. He wasn't getting some dude that just decided to put on a mask and a cape and start whacking people. That's a different thing. We're talking people that were physically able to do some of the stuff that Batman could do at the very beginning of his career.
Big Daddy had something else here that I think you should address,
Let's
because
see.
I don't agree with Big Daddy here, because there was one show.
Yeah, Babylon
Amazon.
5 and Batman. Yeah. They don't make good sci-fi shows like that anymore.
They do.
You know,
it was called. It's on Amazon now. They moved it from Sci-Fi.
Oh yeah, The Expanse.
The Expanse. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
Even though that last episode was pretty woke, the rest of the show has been very, very fucking good.
Yeah, and again, read the books. Support the authors, read the books. This is part of why I got involved with Pop Culture Minefield, which is to talk about things like this and books that many people may be missing out on or not aware of. And when we started the show, it was harder to find Babylon 5. Now you can. Babylon 5 is on HBO Max. All of it. Every season. Although I don't know if they have the made-for-television movies that they did after the show was over. I don't know if it has all of those. But you're at least getting the main television series. And again, I ask you, go to your favorite used bookstore, go to garage sales, go, if you have to, even go to Amazon itself and just pick up the comics and the novels. Because the one difference between Babylon 5 and Star Wars and Star Trek is that everything tied together with Babylon 5. The books and the comics tied into the series. They weren't just written as sort of, hey, we're here to make some money off of you. All of this stuff was actually made to tie into the show. And
did you read it?
Yeah. Even those particular books that are adaptations of episodes that you see on the show, the reason why J. Michael Straczynski had those written is because they include things that maybe at the time, I think he had stated that there were certain things that they would cut out of episodes that were either character turns or clues to future things that would happen, that while they weren't able to include those on the show, the novelization of the episode would include those things and give you hints and clues as to what is to come and introduce you to characters, some of whom would eventually wind up on the show. So it is way more thought out than a lot of what Star Wars and Star Trek are doing now. I mean, that's what was intelligent about Babylon 5. And again, if you've not watched it, if you're one of those people that picked up HBO Max just to watch a lot of the upcoming movies and of course watch the Snyder Cut, do yourself a favor. Watch Babylon 5. And as a fan, let me at least ask you this. Go ahead and start with episode 1, season 2, before you go into season 1, okay? Trust me on this. Season 1 is kind of an odd duck, okay? But you definitely need to watch it because it ties into the overall story that they're telling. My advice is do all of season 2, then turn around and watch season 1. That way you get the main gist of the story before you go into season 3.
Yeah, because
it'll work out much better.
Season 1 was tough to watch.
It was tough. There's probably maybe 4 or 5 really good episodes, but including Babylon Squared which I still think is one of the best episodes of its type, and I can't talk about it anymore because it would give away too much of the story. But
Squeaka likes your advice.
Thank you, Squeaka. It's a show that was well ahead of its time, and I'm at least can say that I've met several of the actors from that show. Incredibly nice people, all of them. Incredibly nice people. I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. Anyway, I've taken up enough of everybody's time.
Well, we're hitting an hour and a half. We went a half hour longer than we had planned.
Babylon. You've never seen Babylon 5? Okay, let me help you out here, okay? Because everybody's used to going online, Googling. Let me help you out here. If you like classic Star Trek, good writing, good science fiction, the only thing you need to know is that there's a show called Babylon 5, created by J. Michael Straczynski. Get on your HBO Max, go straight to the show, episode 1, season 2, and start watching. Don't look up anything online because it's been several years, and it has been a long time. People are going to, some of these groups that do open talks, they're giving away segments of the story. Don't do anything online. Stay out of groups. Stay out of.
Don't
all
worry
that
about it,
stuff.
Squeaka. We like talking.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's why we're here. But just do yourself a favor and watch it. But if you're taking my advice, just season 2, episode 1, and watch it. And then as soon as season 2 is done, as soon as you reach the end, go back and watch season 1.
Exactly.
So,
And Mr. Tickle Trunk says it. Take Keith's advice.
Thank you, Tickle Trunk.
Aye, Captain. All right, let's wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you, guys. And thank you, my team of fellow panelists on Pop Culture Minefield, Raiders of the Lost Art, and the other shows we fucking do. We are a band, and we appreciate you stepping into Mod. I was worried that some of the people that were fucking hating me might show up, and I really needed them to not hog the conversation. But I don't think that anybody showed up. I think that basically I was a blip on the radar for one day.
Well, look, let me just say this. I appreciate you, Gary. You add way more than you think to all of this. And I'm honored to be a part of not only this show, but
we're partners,
to be even tangentially related to anything Dangerous Nerds wants to do.
Well, the only thing I want to do with Dangerous Nerds is a stream once a month with just some fellow veterans to talk about military movies. And
I'm looking forward to listening to that, because that's going to be kind of fun to watch you guys do.
Well, it's the one time you'll hear me comfortably cuss. pretty fluently, and using a lot of military slang. But the rest of the time, I love just doing what we do. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. And Keith, I was really surprised. I thought you went out of town. I thought you were gone. I'm glad you're here. It was able to be on the show from home. And Squeaka, Mr. Tickle Trunk, your name just fucking freaks me out every time I think about it. It's just all I think of, somebody playing with their dick. That's all I think.
Man.
Big Daddy of John Bamford. Let's see who else. Well, other than our regular team, T-shirted historian Yeti Cast, Steven, and of course Kate. Thank you so much.
Kate, you are awesome.
Yes, you are.
So cool.
Let's see who else showed up tonight in the group. Goodness gracious, I'm trying to scroll all the way back up. And the glasses guy, Spectacle. I don't know if he stuck around the whole show or not. but I was grateful that he did show up. I don't see him yet. Just trying to talk while I scroll. Just trying to talk, scrolling. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. And it stopped. I ran out. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And we will be back again on Raiders of the Lost Art on Yeti's channel on Monday. Coming soon from Fat Steven Seagal, we're going to have a cartoon show we're going to be doing. It's going to be cartoons from the 70s to today, right, Keith?
Yes.
Yes. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, every Friday live, we're going to do Thank God It's Friday. We do it before Friday Night Tights because we don't want to interfere with our buddy shows and have them steal our numbers. Whatever, if you come to see us.
Yeah, true. I mean, we need whoever we can get. So,
and of course, I'm glad that we were your first show, Squeaka.
Really?
I'm glad you joined in the chat. It's awesome.
Wow.
I hope you show up and comment regularly because I like posting you guys' comments and bring you into the conversation. Love you guys. We love you too, Big Daddy-O. And then Mr. Tickle Trunk doing what? You're just some creepy dude playing with your dick on the internet. That's what it sounds like, Mr. Tickle Trunk. That name, I fucking love that name. It's like Fat Steven Seagal. When I heard his first name, I'm just like, what the fuck? Awesome. Great name. Anyway, thanks, guys. And from everybody at Pop Culture Minefield, which includes Brittany, who's going to be coming back, and Devin, who does Game Girl. Please watch out for her unboxing videos. She's also going to start doing live streaming with gaming. I'm looking forward to that. With that, that's Keith over there.
And that's most definitely Mr. Gary Cassell.
And this is Pop Culture Minefield, and we're the fuck out of here. Yeah, baby.
Goodbye, chocolate mousse. I'll never forget you. Goodbye, Ducroix. Take care of yourself. Goodbye, Deja Vu. I'll always remember you. And I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow.